Hey everybody, welcome to your Scorpio horoscopes for the week of August 20th through 26th. It's officially Virgo season, which means we're getting closer to Scorpio season. Only a couple more months. I'm actually excited about that because I get excited about fall. Usually by the end of the summer, I'm kind of over it, and I love it. I do just love it. So I am looking forward to Scorpio season also for that reason. We do have the moon coming into Scorpio this week, and it is definitely coming in and presenting some challenges as it sort of moves through your sign, and the challenges sort of change to really kind of crazy. But with all of the other planets in different fixed signs, it's definitely expected. So it's going to cause some pretty big challenges. Luckily for you, it's just a couple of days of challenges. Focus is on self. The moon's focus coming into your sign on Tuesday also is focused on self in a T square with Mercury as well as Jupiter. Did I say Mercury? I meant Venus. Always got to do that at least once in my recordings. Venus is focused on your career and is retrograde currently right now. Jupiter is focused on your relationships. You got the moon emotionally focused on self. That sounds like a whole lot of baloney, if you ask me. Actually, what's interesting is there's a couple of different ways that this could play out. One is that as that overwhelming, you got extra stuff going on within your relationships, you got extra deadlines at work, and it becomes really overwhelming to handle all of those different things. Even if you know that it's your responsibility and you're normally the person that everybody can rely on and yada yada yada, it gets overwhelming for everybody. And sometimes that just means that you need to take a break. You need to take 15, 20, 30 minutes to yourself, hiding in the bathroom if you need to. Go get a coffee and sit down somewhere by yourself, something like that, to just kind of sort of unplug and regroup when things start to get overwhelming in terms of the people around you. This also can play out in terms of, because of the fact that Venus is retrograde. This is the interesting part. Venus, there's two different things about Venus being retrograde. First is that rose-colored glasses come off. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when you're in a relationship with somebody, we tend to see what we want to see, or we tend to get stuck on basically looking at the person and creating what we want to see. And when the rose-colored glasses come off, we see what really is, and we see just how far off we are from what we thought, if that makes any sense at all. So that's a little bit disturbing in a way. I mean, it really can be a shock for a lot of people. Even if you know that you're doing it, it's still a shock. The other way that Venus in retrograde can be interpreted is that it sort of zaps your creativity a little bit. And I feel like with everything going on, that just makes perfect sense that it would be zapping your creativity, because the feeling is that you're overwhelmed by everybody and you just would love for them all to leave. Of course, your brain can't be creative in a situation like that. There's just too much going on, if that makes sense. Jupiter brings an element of our relationships into this, just in case we needed another big one to focus on, which is unpleasant as all hell. So now we're talking about, can't deal with my friends and my family, can't deal with my job because I'm an overwhelming emotional mess, if that makes sense. Even at work, I mean, we all have those days. You have all this stuff going on, your brain is on these big things that are going on, but you still have to go to work and you're focusing on what you need to do at work, but in the back of your mind, that thing is coming. It's just, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Give yourself some time to meditate. Give yourself some time to walk away when you take your 15-minute break, when you take your lunch break. Go and do it and in some way release that tension, that feeling. If that means you have to go in your car and scream, if that means you have to go in the car and blast the music and scream, or just drive around the corner and cry, I mean, whatever it is, you've got to release it, because the more you carry it through the day, the more frustrating and the more exhausting it becomes. And once we get into the next day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, this continues, only it gets bigger. The sun is now a part of this big problem, not so much Mercury anymore, but we are going to add Uranus into that mix as well. And Uranus is a very rebellious energy. So we're literally talking about, we're feeling like we're fighting everything right now. And again, emotionally overwhelming. Let's talk about the good news, though. What's coming in behind this to help you out with this is the moon's grand sextile with Pluto, which is focused on the mind and how you think. Interesting. We'll get to that in a minute, as well as Mercury and Mars. And here's what's really interesting about this. As this is happening, Mercury is going retrograde, like today, like the same day. Mercury is going retrograde later on in the day. So we have all of these planets sort of working together to kind of help you around this really big challenge. Pluto is retrograde, and Pluto's focused on the mind and how the mind works in Capricorn, which is a very stable sign. Capricorns are very black and white. Either it is or it isn't. And one of the things about Capricorns that I have experienced in my lifetime, knowing several of them, is that yes, they get overwhelmed emotionally, but not very often. Like, it has to really be overwhelming. Most of the time, they're really good at handling that somewhere else and dealing with what needs to be dealt with now in front of you. And I'm not saying that that's what you need to do, but it does make it helpful because it's not quite so heavy. Yes, crying is ugly and it's unpleasant, and it gives you a headache and the stuffy nose, and I absolutely hate it. Sometimes it's literally necessary. Also, this does help me a lot, and which is I will watch something specifically that I know is going to be emotional, that I know I'm going to cry, because that helps sort of, kickstart the process, if that makes sense. Let's go into Thursday and not see the moon in Scorpio anymore. So by Thursday morning, the moon is out of there. You're not dealing with those challenges anymore, but you're not dealing with the other stuff either. It just is what it is, because focus is on you and focus is on self. I think that since we're at the end of the week anyways, this is a really good time to celebrate your accomplishments, what you have been able to achieve throughout all of the challenges. The biggest thing I feel that I have learned, and it's still hard to wire my brain around it, but I'm working on it, is that we all look at challenges as a thing that's going to hold us back. But challenges really are just challenging how bad you want it. And when it challenges you in terms of how bad you want it, you put even more effort and even more magic into it and make something that much better. And honestly, that's really an awesome thing when you think about it, because it helps us to grow, be more successful, be better people, if that's what we choose to do. Whatever. It's a tool that we could really use to our advantage if we chose to look at it that way. And with Capricorn's focus on the mind earlier, the day before, that's what it's all about. It's about changing your perception from something on something that was bad, has always been looked at as bad, into something that might actually be helpful to you. Something to think about. So that's what I have for you guys this week. If you love your horoscopes, do click the link in the description and send me a coffee. You know I love my coffees. If you are listening and not viewing, that's ko-fi/heavy metal psychic. While you're at it, go and check out the website, heavymetalpsychic.com. and see what kind of fun stuff is going on in there. Check out the membership options as well. There's all kinds of stuff being added to that. So you don't want to miss out on all of that fun stuff. I'm Melissa Bruce, the heavy metal psychic, in case you didn't hear. And I know that you guys are going to make it a great week because you always do. I love my Scorpios. There's something magical about you guys. And I know that you are going to create some magic this week. You guys have a great week with that.